The Sodder children. 5 kids vanished on Christmas Eve. No bodies, no answers. Hook on Christmas Eve. 1945. 5 children vanished into thin air. No bodies, no answers. Just a burned house and questions that haunt investigators to this day. What really happened to the Sodder children? I know this isn't just another ghost story or urban legend. This is the terrifying true story of the Sodder children. 5 kids who disappeared from their home on Christmas night in one of America's most baffling unsolved mysteries. The official story says they died in a fire, but the evidence tells a completely different tale. Problem challenge. The problem with the Sodder case is that nothing adds up. How could 5 children completely disappear from a house fire without leaving a single trace? Not bones, not teeth, nothing. And why were there so many strange events leading up to that night? The Sodder family was about to discover that their worst nightmare was just beginning, and what they uncovered would challenge everything we know about this case. Exploration development. Let's go back to Fayetteville, West Virginia in 1945. George Sodder, an Italian immigrant, and his wife Jenny were raising their 10 children in a modest 2-story home. George owned a successful trucking company, and the family was well respected in the community. But George had made some enemies due to his outspoken criticism of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, which would later become a crucial detail in this mystery. On Christmas Eve 1945, the Sodder family celebrated the holiday together. Around 10 p.m., the older children went to bed while George and Jenny stayed up with their 2 youngest children, Sylvia and Marion. Jenny received a strange phone call that night. A woman on the other end asked for someone she didn't know, followed by what sounded like laughter and glasses clinking in the background. Jenny thought it was a wrong number and hung up. Later that night, Jenny was awakened by a noise on the roof. She thought it was just the children playing, but she noticed that the lights were still on and the curtains were open. She also smelled smoke. She woke George, and they discovered that the house was on fire. George tried to reach the children upstairs, but the stairs were engulfed in flames. He and the older children who had escaped tried to enter through other means, but the windows were stuck. They even attempted to use their truck to knock down a wall, but the truck wouldn't start. Someone had tampered with it earlier that day. The fire department took hours to arrive, and by the time they got there, the house was completely destroyed. When the flames died down, George and Jenny made a horrifying discovery. There were no remains of their 5 missing children. Not bones, not teeth, nothing. The official explanation was that the fire had been so hot that it completely consumed the bodies, but George and Jenny refused to believe this. As they sifted through the ashes, they found something even more disturbing. Small bone fragments, but not enough to account for 5 children. They also discovered that their ladder, which they kept outside the house, was missing. Someone had taken it, preventing the children from escaping through the upstairs windows. The investigation into the fire revealed that it had started in multiple places simultaneously, in the roof and the basement. This suggested arson, not an accident. The Sodders also discovered that their phone lines had been cut, preventing them from calling for help earlier. In the days and weeks that followed, strange things began to happen. A man was seen stealing a block and tackle from the property, the same kind that could have been used to remove something heavy from the house. A woman at a hotel across the street reported seeing the children peering from a car window the night of the fire. The Sodders hired private investigators to look into their children's disappearance. One investigator claimed to have tracked the children to Florida, where they were being held by a man who looked remarkably like George Sodder. The investigator even brought back a letter written by one of the children, but handwriting analysis was inconclusive. Years later, in 1967, Jenny received a mysterious